testing in Manicool, so it was pretty cool. Obviously, like mainly, you know, in Castellet, being around the French fans, motorsport fans, very special weekend. You know, seeing a lot of like old F1 cars, getting a few laps in like a 1979 Renault turbocharged car, which felt pretty amazing and just made me realize how much our sport has evolved over time, and it's almost like a complete different sport these days. And then yeah, it was good to get in Manicool. Interesting track. It was my first ever time. And yeah, we're just talking about the fact that we're not doing any driving so far. You know, we're end of May and we've done only 4 races, and just eager to, you know, get some more action on track.
Well, the Pirelli wet tyre test at Manicool.
Glad I've done these 2 days because yeah, it's gonna be interesting for you guys. Yeah, I mean, I've had Silverstone 20th of January, which was memorable, and I think will stay, you know, with me forever. But Manicool was also something. So
yeah, what is it? Is it the torque? What makes it so challenging?
You don't want me to answer that question, so
okay. Well, look, let's talk about on-track performance here in Montreal. Assuming it is dry, because you said in Miami that you weren't totally happy with your car. Do you feel you've made any progress? I know you've been on the sim back in Enzo.
Yeah, so we've had good learnings from Miami. The step forward we needed in a race. So I think there is a great momentum. Got a good baseline to, you know, fight for the points, and Miami was we were a little surprised with the gaps, which seemed to have spread a tiny bit more, and we seem to be quite clear of the midfield there. Hopefully it's going to be the case this weekend, but we'll find out tomorrow.
Yeah, final one from me. Did you follow Max's attempt at the Nürburgring 24 hours? If you did, what did you make of it?
It was hard not to follow it, to be fair. And no, I mean, I found it pretty cool. I think I respect, you know, the performance, the commitment. I love to do the race as well, and actually, you know, compete in the same way. And no, I thought he was very unlucky. Obviously, just showed the level at which he is at the moment, and you know, I had no surprise to see him very competitive in you know, in that category and in that field. So yeah, there've been a couple great highlights, you know, all over social media and stuff like that, and I thought it was really cool. Yeah.
All right, thank you for that. Best of luck this weekend. George, on to you. Pierre would like to do Nürburgring 24. How about you?
Yeah, definitely one day, to be honest. Like Pierre said, watching Max at the weekend was pretty cool to see. I've followed the race in the past, and those 24-hour races there, Bathurst as well, they're just brutal races. And, you know, all of us are in a slightly different position to Max. Obviously, we're also pursuing to win a world championship, but obviously he's in a luxurious position to do what he enjoys. And yeah, that's great for him, and he did a great job.
All right, well, let's bring it on to here now. Your last year's winner here in Montreal. You've always gone well at this track. How much are you looking forward to getting out on track?
Like Pierre said, I mean, we're end of May, we've done 4 races, and it's felt very disjointed so far this year. So just looking forward to getting into just going racing and more races back to back, getting into a bit of a groove. Miami was obviously a very tough weekend for me, but a huge amount learned from that, and I feel great coming into this weekend.
What was the biggest learning from Miami?
Well, I think for a lot of us, we're also focused on the energy management, that all of the issues from the past, and dealing with the tyres, dealing with the setup, just fundamentals of racing has kind of been put on the back burner because we're also focused on energy management. So, you know, we missed some key things because we were focused elsewhere, and that was a good little reminder. So, as I said, as painful as it was a very much needed weekend, because I think it's going to prove very beneficial for the rest of the year.
Now, everyone's interested to see Mercedes' first big upgrade of this season. What are you expecting from it?
Well, I'm hoping it's going to be, as competitive as what we saw the upgrades of McLaren and Ferrari brought in Miami. They obviously took a decent step forward. Our numbers, our numbers look pretty promising, but we know it doesn't often. It may not correlate that way in reality. So there's no science telling us it won't be competitive. But as I said, until we drive it on track, there's always going to be a few unknowns.
Right. Final one from me. You spoke about everyone's focus on the power unit. Just can I bring you onto that and your thoughts on the 6 megajoule recharge limit in qualifying? The lowest of the season so far. How will it affect you in the cockpit?
I don't think it'll affect a lot, to be honest. I think it's the right decision. Seeing the simulations, it doesn't look like we're losing speed at the end of the straights. There shouldn't be any quirks in terms of lifting, coasting during the lap. So, definitely the right direction. And I think it
of the Circuit Gilles-Villeneuve.
Yeah, I think it's an amazing track. I'm really looking forward to getting on track this week. I remember the famous 2011 race was one of the first races I watched as a kid. It was one of the ones that I sort of fell in love with the sport over. I still remember that very well. So to get the opportunity to drive this special track, I'm really looking forward to it.
Can you tell us a little more about your preparations? Because, of course, it's a sprint weekend. It's a tough track at which to come for the first time.
A little bit used to it, but I think just a lot of work on the sim. That's the main tool we have for preparation. So being at the factory, going over some things from the previous years, but then doing my own bit with the engineers on the sim, trying to get as ready as possible, watching on boards, all the sort of normal stuff.
And we've got some more upgrades on the car this weekend. How did they feel on the sim?
Yeah, they felt good. We've got a new floor, so it should be a bit of a step. But like George alluded to, it's always hard to know if
with all these gaps in the calendar, you've had time to reflect on how it's gone so far for you this year.
I don't know. I think overall I'm quite positive. I think I've shown what I can do at times, but there's still, areas to work on and stuff. So, I've got confidence in myself, but trying to work on the things I can do better.
All right. Thank you for that. Best of luck this weekend. Now, let's open it to the floor. We'll start with the broadcasters and David.
How big a weekend is this?
It's just another race, and it's not even on my mind the championship. I know what I'm capable of. I know the speed I've got. Obviously, Miami was a bad weekend. It was a tough weekend for me there last year, and I went to Montreal and had a great weekend. Doesn't mean this year is going to be the same, but I just need to focus on myself, go through my processes as I did in Melbourne, as I did in China. 18 at least to go. And I actually look back on my F2 season, which was obviously the last time I fought.
George, next one. No more from the broadcasters. Let's open this to the written media, please.
Sorry, I was sleeping. Another question to George. George, you were speaking about your updates that you have here, but how do you consider important the upgrades you have also in the software that can help you during your starting procedure?
Well, obviously the starts are a big focus for us because that's clearly our biggest weak point. We know short term it's going to be difficult to make major gains, and we don't get to practice very often. You can't practice and our best to improve.
Thanks.
Well, in terms of your feel though for the car, there's no sense that in any way it doesn't marry with your driving style or anything along those lines.
No, I think it's very circuit dependent, the same way as it was last year. I think everybody has stronger circuits, weaker circuits, and as I said, if I look at it objectively, Miami was the only blip, as it kind of was for me last year as well. So hopefully it's one race out of 22 where it's like that. It has been a bit of a tricky start with a bit of bad luck in China and Japan, and the season could be in a totally different predicament if that was slightly different. So as I said, there's no cause for concern. It's business as usual, and see what this weekend brings, and also going into the European season when we're all in a bit more of a groove. There's some double headers, triple headers at the end of the year. Things shift very quickly.
Thank you for that. Another one?
Hi, George. Guilherme from TV Global Brazil. Can you break down, please, why this track is so good for you as we saw last year?
Well, I think the last 2 years this track has suited our car more, because we clearly perform better in the cooler conditions. We won in Vegas, we won in Canada. I've been pole here the last 2 years, and I think that was the biggest part of it. Kimi was on the podium here last year as well. We both performed very well. So, the first 3 races of the year, we've obviously won as a team. The 4 races of the year. Last year, we didn't. I enjoy it here.